Hello, everyone. Hope you had a wonderful trading week. Let's go ahead and just dive right into it here, looking at the dollar index on the weekly time frame. As you can see, we had an initial pop up this week, basically hitting as high as around that 97. I think it came within 18 or so. Pulled back aggressively, finished the week out on the lows of the week, and I do believe that we're going to see just a little bit maybe of a bounce attempt here to around 96.70 or so, and then we'll look for a continuation move down into the 95.75 area. So again, just looking at our daily time frame view to kind of zoom in a little bit on what's been happening, I do expect to see a little bit of a bounce here. Go ahead and just get rid of this at this time, and we'll go ahead and add in some arrows. So again, probably looking at a little bit of a bounce here. Like I said, maybe around 96.70 could to the upside here, maybe even a little bit higher. Doubtful, but it's possible, to around that 96.85 level, and then I'm looking for that continuation move back to the downside here to retest that 96.70 zone. 95.70 zone, excuse me, and that's the way we should end up seeing the price action flow towards probably the end of the week. I would imagine that maybe near term we get a little bit of a bounce up here. Again, the depth of this bounce is kind of questionable here, in my opinion. I think that again it could stop at 96.60, or it could go ahead and even bounce up into that 96.80 5-ish zone, and then we'll look for the selling pressure to resume to the downside, as I said, around 95.70 as the target there. Now, gold, on the other hand, has been amazingly just holding up consolidation above the previous resistance zone. So basically that's going to be above that 1388 level. It's been looking pretty good here. Was expecting to see, a little bit of a dip further here, with a little bit given a little bit more strength to the dollar at that time. That did not happen, and we're going to go ahead and just kind of zoom out a little bit here on our weekly time frame, just to kind of see what we've been dealing with here. And as you can see, the previous resistance is now turning into our support zone here. So as long as we do maintain those 1390s, which I don't believe will be a problem, given what we're seeing out in the overall marketplace right now, dollar yen looking to weaken significantly again. Indices at all-time highs on unsubstantiated, revenues from, companies and everything like that. So, with what I'm seeing with oil, dollar, yen, where the indices are right now as a whole, I don't think that should be a problem, with gold continuing to push to the upside and probably break those 1440s within the next week or so. If it took even longer than that, I'd be kind of surprised. So let's go ahead and just take a look at spot gold to get an actual full picture of what's been happening here with gold over the past few months. And, in looking at the weekly here, you can see again, very clean, holding above that 38.2 fib level that I have around those 1380s. As I said before, old resistance is now turning into support. And if we look back in time, and I'm going to have to switch to the monthly to kind of consolidate it a little bit. So looking back, monthly time frame view, again, 38.2 fib holding up beautifully here, and it's going to continue. We've been consolidating for several numbers of years here, and usually the consolidation length, or the distance between this entire consolidation, if you take a vertical from the breakout, that usually gives you your target. Now we're looking at 2,000 to maybe even $3,000 or $4,000 per ounce longer term for gold. So near term, I'm expecting to see test of that 1440 level. We break that, we start pushing up into around 1485, maybe even hitting around 1489, before we do go ahead and kind of consolidate a little bit around those 1440s, I believe, and then we'll start looking longer term to push above 1500, and then ultimately into that 61.8 fib level, which is around 1585. Again, could push up a little bit higher than that, just looking back in time, maybe even around 1600, before we go ahead and kind of consolidate along that 50% fib level around those 1500. So again, beautiful situation setting up here for gold. The environment is perfect for it. So as we continue to monitor the price action here, let's go back to the futures contract. What we're going to be looking for here is a potential opportunity to get in on this move again, around the lower 1408, 1409 levels, maybe even around 1410. Just going to kind of monitor for that price stability, where the dollar stops its rise, and then we'll be looking for that swing move breakout above the 1420. That should take a pretty quick rip up into the 1430s, probably hitting those 1440s in no time. And then once that is green lighted for that breakout above 1438, again, we'll start targeting into the 1480s as we see this rally continue to the upside with a significant amount of strength and a lot of FOMO taking place, I'm assuming. So let's go ahead and push forward here with crude oil. Very strong week in the face of that storm. So again, as I mentioned, if we did break out, we were looking for those 1680s, and that's exactly what we got. So we ended up hitting those 6088s. Beautiful resistance right along that 23.6 fib level that I had previously marked up. And again, as I said before, we're looking for that downside move here. Still hasn't happened, but that means that now that this upside move is completed, we'll be looking for downside push here for crude oil. Probably to the tune of, and again, we might start up a little bit strong near the 60-70s, maybe 60-80. Doubtful that we get anything above that. Looking for a drive down into the 58-30s, specifically around the 38 level, near term for the price retracement. Once we do get to this level, probably ping pong around a little bit in this range and then start looking for, again, another push to the downside, looking at 55s, maybe 54.60s as we head into the future. But again, it's going to take us probably the rest of this week to get into this zone here and then kind of chop around a little bit, and then probably at that time looking for that next level push sometime next week to the downside. So I'm going to go ahead and just save that so we have that for future reference. And we're going to go ahead and finish up this edition with natural gas as usual. And natural gas, surprisingly, still strong. Right now, it's in a location where I pretty much refer to this area as no man's land, where it's waiting for its next level push. Now, there's two different ways that this could go. Just like last week where I said, if we hold this zone, we'll be looking for upshot to around the 249, 250, and that's basically what we had. Now, over the past few sessions, this is the daily time frame, mind you, we've been putting in slightly lower highs on each one of these pushes, and so I'm assuming that we go ahead and try to push up again here into the 248s. Now, what I expect to see here is limited upside beyond that. Now, in the event that we get above 253, then we can start talking about a significant push to the upside, maybe 270, 275, maybe. But at this point in time, I still am very cautious, as I do believe this zone is still going to hold up very well as, it's basically broken support that we're retesting at this time, which is another reason why I am not, eagerly looking to get involved into a trade here. I'm looking for either decision above or a break below the 240s, and then we'll be looking for a target, and still looking for that target, mind you, of around 230. We do have some gaps to fill on the lower time frame around the 234 price point, so again, it leads me to believe this move to the upside will get washed back down into the 230s, and then we'll be looking for a little bit of a bounce at that time, potentially. Again, it does get kind of tricky in here looking at this type of retracement. We basically just bounced back up to retest the breakdown that we had previously. So again, if we end up pushing up outside this, we might get a squeeze up into the 254s maybe, and then I believe this is going to be the solid point of resistance, and then we should see at least a little bit of a retracement into those 230s, might pop back up again, test those 240s, and if we fail at that point, then we'll be looking at another drive to the downside, and then what happens after that. Longer term, my picture is bleak below 2. So again, we'll have to see how this all plays out. Right now, it's a very much wait and see. Look for that confirmation. If she starts stabilizing around the 250 level, then you'll be looking for another squeeze into the 265, 270 zone. Pretty solid resistance around 270, 272 to up to 275 in the event that that does end up rallying to that level. Now, I'm still not convinced myself. Still believe we are looking for a pullback down to the 230s. We'll see how this plays out. Watch yourselves, use your stops. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, green, and profitable trading week. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can leave them at the bottom of the video. As always, make sure that you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on my weekend analysis, which I provide to the public for free. So have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful trading week, and I will update you all next weekend.